Swashbucklers, you're listening to Under the Crossbones, episode number 177, brought to you today by Pirata Clothing and Pirate Radio of the Treasure Coast. My name is Phil Johnson. I am your host for the show and the ship's lab assistant each and every week. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for telling your friends. Thanks for visiting sponsors and sending donations and playing with us online and doing all that cool stuff that you do. I appreciate it. It helps me keep the old boat afloat, and you are a good person. So here we are in episode 177. Fun fact about the number 177. Tennis Hall of Famer Martina Navratilova holds 177 all-time titles. That is the record, the record for men or women anywhere. She is the best at poking a ball over a net. So good for her. Go Martina. She's retired now, so she's not counting anymore. She's not getting 178 in there. She's done. So yeah, that's episode 177. Of course, you'll be able to find all the show notes for this episode at underthecrossbones.com/177. And my guest today is Moonsun Kim. She is the creator of a pirate webcomic called Whispers in the Wind. And when I say webcomic, to me, comic in my brain always means funny, haha. This is a serious webcomic with a serious story with pirates in it, and illegitimate children and all sorts of good stuff. So it's called Whispers in the Wind. And you can check it out at witw.thecomicseries.com. That's witw.thecomicseries.com. If you want to go have a look at it, maybe you press pause on this, you go look at a few comics, and then you come back to it and you press play again. Or maybe you just listen through and check it out after. But yeah, so we're going to dig into the webcomic biz and how she's going. We're traveling all the way to Paris for this one, by the way. She's on the outskirts of Paris, so more international action here on Under the Crossbones. And we're going to talk about the webcomic biz and see what she's got going in it and where it all comes from. So it's going to be good stuff. If you're enjoying the show, and I hope you are, join us over on Facebook. Facebook.com/underthecrossbones. On Twitter, we're at Under Crossbones. And make sure you hit that subscribe button in whatever you are listening to this on right now. You do if you're Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Slacker, Podcast Addict, Overcast, wherever you're listening, click the little subscribe button. Then you will get automatically the new episodes every Tuesday morning as soon as they come out. And that makes you a cool person. Now, if you were listening last week, you remember I probably told you about leaving my clothes. I left my laundry in Minnesota during my last tour out there. And not just any laundry, but my stage clothes. Yeah, the important ones that I wear in front of people. And so I got in contact with the hotel. I had to send them a mailing label. And then they boxed up my laundry and mailed it to me. And that is the first time I have ever paid $17 to have my own laundry mailed to me from across the country. Sort of strange, but at least I got my pants and my shirt and my jacket back. So I got them back in time for last weekend's shows, which was really nice. But you would think with as much traveling as I do that I would leave more clothing scattered about the country. And fortunately, I'm pretty good at not doing that. This is the first time I've slipped up in a long, long time. So usually I collect all my stuff, but guitar stands, that is the one thing. I have left so many guitar stands around the country, it's ridiculous. I very often have to go buy a new guitar stand, and that's a drag because they're about $30 each. But yeah, that's the way it goes. I got to have some weaknesses, right? I'm not perfect, you guys. Close, very close, but I'm not perfect. I'm not even close. Don't worry about it. Back shows coming up. Of course, there's shows coming up. There's always shows coming up. This Thursday, February the 14th, special Valentine's Day show at the Aroma Winery in Hollister, California. Yeah, I know. You're thinking, Phil, what does your girlfriend say about you working on Valentine's Day? She said, that's a pretty good amount of money. We'll have dinner on the weekend. That's what she said. February the 19th, I'll be at the Vinyl Room in Burlingame, California. February the 21st at the Blue Lagoon in Santa Cruz, California. February 22nd at the Setup at 222 Hyde in San Francisco, California. Man, that show is fun. That's going to be great. And February the 23rd at Comedy Oakland in Oakland, California. So a lot of Bay Area dates coming up. If you want to come out and see some of that, I know there's a bunch of Bay Area listeners, you out there. Come on out, see a show. It's going to be all good. Now, the other thing I did in the past couple of days is I discovered the 9th Circle of Hell. Yes, I did. And it is the phone tree at the health insurance companies. Oh, yeah. So as usual, my birthday's coming up in a couple weeks, and when your birthday starts to come up, you get the postcards in the mail, right? You get the one from your dentist that's like, happy birthday to you and your shiny smile. And the one from the local ice cream shop where they're like, happy birthday, come in and have a scoop on us. And then you get the one from your health insurance company that goes, screw your birthday, we're raising your rates $100 a month. What are you going to do about it? So that's the one I got, and I was like, I'm done. I got to find another insurance plan for this. So I spent like an entire day shopping for an insurance plan, and I'm in the special enrollment period right now, and they don't make that easy on you because you're not doing it on their timeline. But the phone tree at the health insurance company, they're not going to sue me. It's Anthem. Anthem sucks, you guys. Their phone tree, I call up, and they go, press 1 for English. Got it. Press 1 for English. Okay. Press 2 or 3 or 4 for whatever. You want a new plan. Press 2. All right. Press 2. Good. Press 1 for English. All right. Already did that, but I'll press 1 again. All right. Press 1. All right. And if you want these other 3 things, press 3. I don't want those 3 things. I want to talk to a person. Welcome to the main menu. Press 1 for English. I pressed 1 for English. And I went through so many phone trees. It was ridiculous until I'm just pounding the 0 on my phone. Please take me to a person. And then I went to a person, and then that person said, oh, we can do that for you. Let me send you over to our sales department. Okay. She puts me on hold, and I hear, thank you for calling Anthem. Please press 1 for English. Okay. Press 1 for English. Enter your membership number. Put the membership number in. Thank you. Please hold. And I sat on hold for a good 10 minutes, listening to their terrible music, and then, thank you. Goodbye. Click. All right. Call them back up again. Finally got around. I clicked some different buttons. Pressed 1 for English at least 6 more times. Put my membership number in another 3 times. Finally got to a person who said, "Oh, okay. Let me send you over to the people who are going to do that." She gave me a phone number. She sends me over to Covered California. They go, "No, we can't help you with this because it's not our thing." And I spent like an hour and a half just pressing 1 for English on my phone over and over again. It was stupid and ridiculous. And finally, I just set an appointment for them to call me today, and they still couldn't do it. No, can we do it? No. We got to fill out an application and all this garbage. Oh, it's health insurance isn't bad enough. They got to give us the runaround. I swear to God, it was ridiculous. But now you know my pain. And that's why I have to go out and do shows to pay for the health insurance. That's it. And this is how we pay the bills. We're sponsored by Pirata Clothing. Yeah, their brand new website is a pirate utopia of shirts, hats, clothing, swimwear, and more, all steeped in the lore of pirates and treasure, and perfect for your next Caribbean cruise or trip to the Keys. And they add new gear weekly, so check it out. Go to pirataclothing.com. And be sure to click the ship wheel on the website to get in on Blackbeard's treasure hunt. And if you need a custom order for your crew, you want a bunch of matchy stuff for your crew, call them up, 1-877-607-LOOT. That is 1-877-607-LOOT. You know how to spell loot. You're a pirate. I know how it works. And again, go check them out, pirataclothing.com. Good people over there. All right, so let's get into my interview now with Moonsun Kim. We're going to get in the plane. We're going to get in the pirate plane because the ship takes too long. It really does. We're going to get in the pirate plane and we're going to truck on out to France to the outskirts of Paris. And we're going to talk to Moonsun Kim, creator of Whispers in the Wind. First of all, I know I'm talking, you're in France. What part of France are you in?
In Paris. Just next to Paris. In the suburbs.
Lovely area. I was just there about a year ago. So yeah, I love that city.
Yes, I know. I saw that on your podcast. I was like, oh shoot. Would have been fun. But actually back then I was not in Paris back then. I just moved back to Paris 2 months ago. Before that I was in Korea.
Oh, okay. And why what were you doing in Korea?
I have no idea. Well, basically, the thing is, like, I'm Korean, but I was born in France, and I lived in France until like 27.
Okay.
And like, like my parents are Korean, but I speak a bit of Korean, but I've never lived there. So I was really very curious about my own culture. So I said, hey, let's go and live there. So I went and lived there.
And how long were you there for?
4 years, almost 5 years.
And how was it, having never really been part of that culture in that deeply?
It's different. It's very different. It's not, it has some things that are better, some things that are worse, of course. It's just like real different. That's exactly what I wanted when I left. So I got what I wanted, and I came back to France, and I'm happy also about it too.
Nice. That's great. I'm sure that was a really interesting experience. The closest I've come was destroying some Korean barbecue last weekend. That's the best I've done.
I heard they're really bad in the States.
Yeah. It was not the greatest, and I ate way too much of it.
But you still ate it. Wow.
Well, it was expensive and I was paying for it, so I'm going to eat it.
Of course.
So let's talk about your webcomic here. So you do a webcomic called Whispers in the Wind,
exactly,
which is about pirates. Can you give us sort of a thumbnail sketch of the plot? I know you're about 11 chapters into it now, but can you give us sort of a basic plot?
Yeah, sure. So basically, so we started in a small port town. Then we just like introduce a family, and there's a pirate attack. Of course, there has to be a pirate attack. And during the attack, the Captain Bailey, he shows up at the house of this family, and luckily the kids are not there, but he kills the husband. I'm just like spoiling a bit the first chapter because just to get the thing. And like the wife, Scarlett, she manages to run away. And the next morning, she realized that her son is gone with the pirates.
Okay.
And that's when she reveals the truth, being that this captain, pirate, Bailey, is actually the boy's real father. And now she needs to go to sea to get her son back from the pirates.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. That's how the story is going to start.
Great. So yeah, I've read the first 2 or 3 chapters, I think, of it so far.
Okay.
And it's very cool stuff.
Oh, great. Thanks.
When you get into a project like this, comic books always intrigue me because there's 2 completely different skill sets. There's the artistic skill set visually, and then there's the storytelling skill set that needs to be developed as well. So how much of the story do you know ahead of time? And do you know how many chapters it's going to be when it's done, or what the ending is going to be like? Or are you just kind of going as you go with that?
I think I have like a vague idea of the story. I have a vague idea of the ending, but I have no idea of how the middle part is going, because I do have an idea, but it keeps changing, and like I keep like adding things or removing things, or just like saying, "Hey, this doesn't work. This character doesn't work in this situation, so I have to change everything." And it just like keeps changing in the middle. But I do have a pretty much approximative idea of the whole story.
Okay. And is it something where you're thinking about, okay, I'm going to stretch this story for as long as it'll go, as long as people keep supporting it? Or is it going to be done more like you have a length in mind, even though the ending is vague and still changing? Do you plan on some point ending the story?
Well, I'm going to end it when I get to like the ending point that I want. But I actually have no idea when it's going to be, because, like for example, until 2 months ago, I was posting 2 pages a week because I had the time for that. But the thing is, like, in the webcomic, it's really hard to do. What I do is really not mainstream. I mean, it's about pirates. It's not like the usual things that you read in webcomics, and I know it. And it's actually like a bit hard for me because, people don't like want to read it. if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So like I started reducing my pages to like 1 a week. And of course, like I also like have a day job. because like it doesn't make a lot of money.
Sure.
So I have this day job. I reduced to one per week, and I'm also going to start another project that's actually going to be a bit more, like attractive.
Okay.
To maybe like pour in a larger audience.
Okay. Then you can kind of cross promote between the two of them and slide people over from the thing they are expecting to what they aren't expecting.
Yeah, maybe. Let's hope for that.
Nice. That's good. So when you talk about putting out one page a week, how many hours are you putting into that one page? How long does it take you to do that?
Oh, it's really hard to say. It really depends on the page. Sometimes it's just like huge zooms on people, on faces. So it's really easy to do. Sometimes it's like a huge like background with ships and everything. So it's a bit harder. But I'm going to say like, maybe one page is from like start to the end. Like I have this blank page and I have the page finished on my computer. I think it's maybe taking me like 10 or 15 hours.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's a lot of work.
Again, it really depends on the pages. Like today I started a new page for chapter 11 and, I just finished it.
Oh, okay. All right. So a little easier on that one.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit easier for a few pages. Then it's going to be really hard. Then it's going to be even harder. And maybe, I don't know. But I don't know, like, yeah, what's the fun if you have no challenge?
That exactly. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the iteration process that you go through. How much of it are you doing as like hand drawing pencil to paper versus on a computer, and kind of what are the stages that a drawing will go through?
Oh, okay. So basically, I usually do some thumbnailing is actually like a very, very tiny version of every pages. I do like this for one whole chapter. It means like 20 pages.
Okay.
Just to see how it's going to work. If something is going to work or not, because I need to know how like that one page is not going to be exactly the same as the next one or the one before or things like that. And once I have all this, and actually I say that like it's really easy, but it's horrible. It's really hard. But after that, once I got that, I have my blank page and I start just like sketching on it. And I use like a blue pencil because I don't need to erase it.
Okay.
Because I removed a step actually. Before I used to do like blue pencil, then like more perfect pencil. Just gray regular pencil, and then inking, and then erasing, and then scanning, etc., etc.
Okay.
But now I don't do the like regular pencil phase, so like I just ink directly on my blue pen.
Oh, okay.
It means that I don't have to erase anymore. And so like once this is done and I inked my whole page, I scan it, I open it on my computer, I see all the horrible mistakes and I correct them. And after that, I just like clean a few things. I add the word balloons, everything, and it's good to go.
Okay. Are you working in Photoshop or something else?
Yeah, Photoshop, a little bit of Photoshop, a little bit of another amazing program that's called Clip Studio.
Okay.
That is actually like very, very good for I think like a lot of comic artists work with it because it's really, really well made. And it's also much, much cheaper than Photoshop. So.
Okay, yeah. How did you get into drawing comics in general? Where does that come from in your life experience?
I think it's just, it's a childhood dream, actually.
Okay.
I always wanted to draw comics, but sometimes when you're in your 20s and you think that you're going to the right school or meeting the right people is going to be enough to land you a job. I was a bit lazy back then. Like I was drawing. I mean, I was in art school. I was doing my homeworks. I was working, but I was not like working like hard as hell. You know what I mean? And like, anyway, I did land a job and it was pretty cool. And when this project ended, I was already in Korea and I was like, okay, so like what I'm going to do now. And my boyfriend actually told me, okay, you know what? Like there is this, you keep telling me that you want to do comic, but like you never really work hard for it. Just so like start working. And I said, yeah, you're all right. I should. So I did. And
nice.
I have to thank him for that every day.
That's great. And so what were the comics you were reading as a kid that turned you on to the idea?
I think it's mostly mangas. Like
okay.
Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon. What else? Of course, One Piece. Because I don't know how it is in the States, but in the 90s, there was like this TV show on TV that was mainly about mangas,
like
anime, sorry. And any kid in the 90s and probably like the late 80s just grew up with that. And we all like grew up with the same animes. And so it just kind of stuck. And it's a whole generation thing in France, actually.
Okay. Yeah. We do have some of that here, and I was the generation before that, just before all the anime stuff. The 90s kids and on, yeah, absolutely, for sure. In fact, all of my piano students are always coming in wanting to learn the music from those shows and things like that. But okay. I was in the 80s. We didn't quite have it here in the 80s. My taste in comic books was terrible as a kid. I read Archie and Jughead. That was pretty much it. And I watched all the dopiest cartoons on TV. So, Bugs Bunny is my guy that I go to. But yeah, so I missed the anime thing. And I've tried to get into it over the years. And there's definitely some interesting stuff in there. But it always comes down to the story for me. To really get into that kind of stuff. But those are really interesting. It's a really interesting, different art form from what I grew up with as far as drawing and animation goes. But it's very cool stuff. So when you get into this project and you decide you're going to do a webcomic, how did you start to formulate the story? Why pirates? Why that kind of thing?
Oh, actually, it's really, really funny. It's two completely different questions that you're asking in one.
Okay. All right.
The whole thing about pirates, it all started like a really, really long time ago, maybe like 10 or 12 years ago, when I was in my illustration class. And the teacher asked us, okay, so like for homework, I want you to draw a family. It can, but like a theme family, like it can be like a cowboy family, alien family, whatever. Just make me a family.
Okay.
And of course I said, okay, I want to draw a pirate family, because pirates are cool. Of course.
Yeah.
And so like I was drawing this family and oh my God, I found this drawing like 1 year ago. The first drawing I did, I was like horrible drawing. So like I started drawing this and then I keep drawing. We had just one drawing of them and I started like doing like so many drawings of them and like imagining stories, like how their relationship is working, etc., etc. And then I started like imagining a story about this. And so that's actually how I came up with this with Whispers in the Wind.
Okay.
Of course, it's very, very different from what it is now. But that's actually like how it first started. And about the webcomic thing, it was more like, okay, so I decided to start working really on comic thing. And I did a few like, I was drawing a few like short stories just to train, just to practice. But the thing is, like, I realized that I was like almost obsessing about this pirate story and I wanted to draw it. And every time I was thinking about a short story, I was like, oh, and this character, I could talk about this character. And then like, maybe I could link it with the main story and realize that it's actually like the backstory of another character, whatever, something like that. So that's actually why I started this webcomic, because one, I realized that I was just tired, like really tired of obsessing over it. Like seriously, sometimes I just couldn't sleep. It's horrible.
Yeah, I totally get that.
I'm sure you get it. It's the same for you, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because there will be, I mean, certainly when the public consumes art, they almost forget that a lot of times we've been living with those characters and that story for the longest time before it ever gets out there. You know, by the time I release a song, I never want to hear that song again. Because I've heard it so many times by then. So yeah, that absolutely makes sense. Now it sounds to me like the storytelling skill and the visual art skill are really, really intertwined for you. Do you do anything to separately develop those skill sets?
No, but you're reminding me that I should. Oh my God. No, but usually I just like, I guess it's the same for you again, but like everything that when you're like in the arts, everything that you read or watch or anything everything that comes around you is going to teach you something.
Sure.
And so I basically, like, even when I watch a movie, I'm like, oh, okay, so this character is like this because like that. And oh, this is so smart. Oh my God. And like, I'm always thinking about that things.
Okay. I
think it's the same for every storytellers, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. The constant analysis of everything going on around us.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, actually, like I do have just the only thing I have is some proofreaders.
Oh, okay.
So like once I write a chapter, I send it to my best friend, who's also a comic scenarist, and she tells me like, okay, this is working, this is not working, and things like that. And yeah, it's actually great because she's absolutely not a pirate geek. So sometimes she's correcting me like, okay, but why is this person doing this? And I'm like, isn't it obvious? But it's not all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Good to have that extra pair of eyeballs for sure.
Yeah.
I run stuff past my girlfriend all the time and she goes, no, that's not funny. And I say, well, I'm going to put it on stage anyway. And then I send her a text.
Well,
after
you should listen to her.
Yeah, I do sometimes, but she's usually wrong.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Don't listen to her then.
Even when she's wrong, it's helpful feedback. But actually, it's funny because it's reminding me that idea of just, as you're watching a movie or whatever you're doing, you're analyzing it and trying to pick it apart and learn from it. My girlfriend used to be a musician as well. She was a bass player.
Oh, cool.
And she like officially retired from playing bass. She was getting out of the business. And I said, what's it like being a civilian again? And she said, well, it's way more fun to listen to music now because I'm not constantly trying to pick it apart for new ideas. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I can't imagine that.
So let's talk a little bit about the aesthetic that you chose for the comic, because the clothing is a sort of a mixture between traditional, as we think
everything.
Of it. Yeah, as we think of it, pirate clothing, but there's some more modern looks in there as well.
Sure.
And even some of the dialogue is more modern mixed with that sort of classic idea. So how did you make those decisions about how much of that to mix and why? Because the whole thing takes place in a fictional land, right? It's not an actual place.
Sure. But of course, it's very, very much influenced by, the golden age of piracy, of course.
Sure.
But no, it's not. And I have no idea how to answer this because it just happened that way because I thought it would be better or not or things like that.
Okay.
So, like for example, like there is the daughter's glasses. They're like really really oval shaped, and I know that it was really not. It was not the usual design for glasses. But I don't know, it just looked better that way than the regular round glasses, I guess. Okay. Or even like clothing. I mean, I just said, as long as it's, I guess, like logical. I mean, they don't have cell phones or anything. Actually, I thought it would be a really fun thing to do that, but I didn't.
Yeah. It was because as I started into it, I was I don't want to say confused, but I was curious about what the time period was and where the place was because of those things. I was like, oh, the clothing kind of looks like that. Oh, but then that clothing. Oh, then they're talking like that, and then that guy called that guy dude. And it just made me more and more curious about where it was going to go, and it kept me going deeper into the story. So I think that was a really interesting choice to do those types of things.
Oh, that's great because I have no idea what I'm doing really.
Okay. That's a perfectly valid answer too.
But like, but actually, like, most of the things, sometimes it's really hard because, well, English is not my native tongue, and I used to have another proofreader who was British, and he used to correct me a lot on grammar things because there are lots of things that didn't work. Because it was not like the way people speak back then, or just the way people speak in English. You know?
Sure.
So that's actually why I'm actually thinking about translating it back to in French, because that way I will have like a better grasp of like my character's language. Okay. I guess. That's something I'm wondering about. But when I think about the extra work.
Yeah. That would be an interesting experiment, though, to see not only how the dialogue plays out, but where if the story goes to a different place, if you're thinking about it in French versus English. I would be interested to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be cool. And by the way, your English is far, far better than my French. So you're doing great.
Yeah, but that's not an excuse. I mean, like, pop culture is all American. So like, everything we watch, every song we listen to is American. So I guess it's easier. I'm guessing that you don't watch only French movies and like, read French books, right?
No, very few actually.
So that's why. That's why you're bad in French.
That's why. It's exactly it. But yeah, I would be interested to see how that plays out if you do that, to see if that changes any place where the story goes. I think that would be interesting. Tell me a little bit about what kind of how one goes about marketing a webcomic. Oh, because I don't know anything about that market. How do you get the word out about it?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have like absolutely no idea. This is like one of my weakest point. It's the marketing part. I don't know how it works. I don't understand how it works. And honestly, if I had the money, I would just pay someone to do it because it's really annoying for me. I just want to like draw all day and that's it.
Sure.
And I don't want to like be on social medias. Sometimes it's fun, but most of the time I'm like, why am I doing this? And I don't know. I really don't know how it works. Really.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. And I understand that sentiment. So I'm hiring people this year to start doing a lot of my Facebook ads and things like that, just because I want to spend more time doing my art as well, you know? And so, yeah, when you can put some money behind it and let somebody else do it, by all means.
Yeah, sure. But after that, like, it's the same because like, you have if that happens, you have no control on what's happening, like, really. So.
Yeah, to a point.
Hard.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be people that I'm having, weekly meetings with to make sure everything is on track and such. But it's still a plan I'm formulating as well. But for right now, your good promotion is just being on a very popular pirate podcast. So
yeah,
good job.
I guess. Thanks. I'm a huge fan of your podcast. I mean, I've been like watching a few movies and reading some books after like really listening to your podcast. So like, I'm like honored to be here.
Oh, good. Oh, I'm so glad to hear it. I appreciate that a lot. Where's the best place online for people to check out your comic and keep up with what you're doing?
To keep up on what I'm doing, usually it's social medias.
Okay.
The thing is, like, I try to do like different things for every social media. Like, for example, on Twitter, I just post like random things sometimes. And on Instagram, I post, of course, like only pictures. I try to post sketches, that kind of things.
Okay.
And like, other than that, like, if you want to read my comic, there is the website.
Okay.
There is also like, because like the more and more people read on their phone, and it's not really a good format to read on the phone. So I actually also have a link to Line Webtoon. It's a website for comics in a vertical format.
Oh, okay. So, interesting.
where like panels come like in vertical. Yeah. So it's really great when you're reading on your phone because like the text is not like tiny and and there's a different flow and yeah.
Nice. What was the name of that website?
Line Webtoon.
And what's the main website?
It's witw.thecomicseries.com.
Okay, fantastic. Good. Well, I hope we can get some folks over to check you out and maybe subscribe to your Patreon and all that kind of good stuff for you.
Sure.
It was really nice talking to you. Thanks for taking the time to come on today.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You betcha. And there it is, friends. That is my talk with Moonsun Kim, creator of Whispers in the Wind webcomic. Hope you enjoyed that. Of course, you can go check out her comic at witw.thecomicseries.com. And of course, that will be in the show notes at underthecrossbones.com/177. And as well, I will put links there to other stuff. I'll put links to her Patreon account if you want to help support her, because I know you're generous about those types of things. I'll also have links in there to her page on Webtoons, where if you want to watch the comic if you want to read the comic on your phone in a vertical format, I'll put that Webtoons link there, and even that link to Clip Studio. If you're thinking about doing some drawing of your own, some sketching of your own, I'll put the link there for that. They're not giving me any money for that. I just thought you might like to see it. I looked at it, and it actually looked pretty fun, and I might get it myself, even though I don't draw things very well at all. Not me. Yeah. Did you hear something in there you wanted to jump in on the conversation on? You wanted to add your 2 cents? You wanted to add your 3 pesos? You wanted to add your 6 pieces of 8? Come join us over on Facebook. That's where the discussion is. We're at facebook.com/underthecrossbones. A little less discussion, but we're still there on Twitter at undercrossbones. We're discussing. It's just not as thready as Facebook, And if you want to find out, if you're an Instagram-y type, Instagram, Phil Johnson Comedy. I don't have an Instagram for the show on there, but I do post stuff for the show on there too. So it's all mixed in on that one. And of course, by the way, if you ever want to find out more about my comedy stuff, just go to philjohnsоncomedy.com or just Google Phil Johnson Comedy. Don't just Google Phil Johnson, because the other guy that comes up is an evangelical religious philosopher. Yeah, so much fun when his people find my website. No, you can't see it right now, but I'm shaking my head no as I say that. And if you're listening over on Pirate Radio The Treasure Coast, thank you for tuning in there as well. We are sponsored by Pirate Radio The Treasure Coast, WKKC-DB, playing the best music of today's hits and yesterday's classics, and Pirate Radio Talk, playing the best pirate shows, including Under the Crossbones, 24/7, commercial-free. To listen, just go to pirateradioTheTreasureCoast.com or pick up the Pirate Radio WKKC-DB app in your favorite app store. That's the music station. For the talk station, go to pirateradiotc.com or pick up the Pirate Radio Talk. Or just scream at your Google or Alexa device and demand that it play Pirate Radio of the Treasure Coast for you. Because that's what our things do for us now. We yell at them and they do things for us. So you can say, Alexa, Google, play Pirate Radio of the Treasure Coast, play Under the Crossbones. It'll do that for you because they're still nice to us. Right now, they're nice to us. In a while, with the robot uprising, they may not be so nice to us. But for now, they're nice to us. This is all brought to you by iTreasure Radio, the very best digital media from independently owned stations at iTreasureRadio.com. And that is our show for today. Thank you once again for tuning in. I appreciate it every single ding-dang time you do. That's important because without you here, I'm just talking to a wall into a microphone, and it's not as good. So if you want to find out more about Moonsun Kim and her Whispers in the Wind comic series, go to witw.thecomicseries.com, and all the links and all that kind of good stuff will be in the show notes under thecrossbones.com/177. Links to her comic series, Patreon, Webtoons, all sorts of great stuff. And we have got some cool shows coming up. Next week, we're going to talk about board games, a Treasure Island board game specifically, with the creator, Mark Pacquiao. And the week after that, we're going to talk to Adrian Fawcett of Switch Sales. Have we ever talked about sale making on this show before? I think not, but we will in a couple weeks with Adrian Fawcett. All right, kids? So, be good to each other out there, and I'll see you next week.